What do you think is a realistic hourly rate for a job in Swansea? Your line of work?
Oh my God.
Probably around £6 an hour, depending on what you're doing.
No, I would imagine £6.50.
I only get £7 an hour.
Right.
But I'm sure there's other jobs that pay higher. Just can't seem to find any.
Just above minimum rate. It's not great at all.
And if you were looking at a job for maybe 10 or 12 an hour?
No, not in Swansea. It'd be outside Cardiff, maybe. London.
More call centres come back from India into Britain, then this is the sort of place they look to set up because there's so many unemployed people, or there'll be even more, and so they can carry on paying the low wages.
Down comes the going rate.
Barely making ends meet, if I'm honest, but again, it is better than a dole. At least I've got something to get up for in the morning.
This is Swansea, a textbook example of the post-industrial economy, where wage rates hover just above the bare minimum. Ian, John and Steve are litter pickers. They work for the council, and we're out on the rounds with them around the outskirts of Swansea.
There are quite a few that worked in the old steelworks and ex-miners here, yeah, especially amongst the older boys. The money was a lot better in the steelworks, but there's nothing in that sort of industry around here anymore. Like, it's getting more difficult all the time, to be honest with you. We had a pay freeze last year. We're facing the same, next year from April. I don't go down the football as much as I did. I'm a big Swans follower, like, but we were talking about £20 a ticket. Like, by the time you go for a couple of drinks after it, you can't go down the football without £40–50 in your pocket. I rarely used to miss a game, but now I still go down, but it's occasionally I sort of pick and choose my games. I know John, season ticket holder for years. It's the first season he hasn't purchased a season ticket. I suppose everybody says they don't get paid enough, don't they? But I certainly think, we earn the wage we get in. Like, we're out in all weathers. We start, I'm out of bed at 6 in the morning. We're out on the roads, before it's light. We're actually worried because in Swansea at the moment, the authority are going through a job evaluation process. If we transported 3 years forward and see where we are, we'll be doing a lot more work for a lot less pay, I think. Like, unfortunately, it's worrying. We don't know where it's going to all end up. Like,
what's around the corner?
In a Polish cultural centre in West London, there might be some sort of answer. We're about to go in a cafe here and hear these people talk about the business of budgeting, how their wages actually stretch.
Ile mniej więcej płacicie za mieszkanie? 50.
This group of Polish cleaners work at the Hilton Hotels chain via an agency. They're campaigning for the London living wage, helped by an organiser from the trailblazing group London Citizens.
So on average per 2 weeks they will get £370. That's for 2 weeks of full-time, very hard job, which means
Let's break that down though a minute. Does that mean about £185 a week?
Yeah, this is
in
what they
London.
would get. This is in London, and this is what they get with £6.15, which is 20p more than the minimum wage. For accommodation, it's on average £90 per week, and then for transport, it's something between £20 to £28. And what we are left with is £58. This is £8 per day.
Ile ja zarabiam na godzinę w hotelu, to wstyd się przyznawać.
What's worse for the cleaners is that their hours are unreliable, fluctuating with demand for Hilton's rooms.
Takie, że
Bo miałam pewność, że chociaż te 8 funtów mam pewne.
A jeżeli oni nam ciągle obniżają te pokoje, no to wtedy my jesteśmy zdezorientowane. Ja na przykład muszę sobie dodatkowo...
Przede wszystkim mamy pracę. W Polsce jest bardzo ciężko z pracą. No, życie nie wygląda.
wszyscy na świecie myślą, że Londyn to jest takie wspaniałe, bardzo bogate.
No ja doświadczyłam na własnej skórze właśnie tego, że kto nie był w Londynie, to nie jest w stanie powiedzieć, jak tu jest. Bardzo dużym zaskoczeniem. Nie zdawałam sobie sprawy, że tak ciężka praca daje tak małe efekty.
If anyone should know about the uphill struggle faced by low-paid workers, it's this man.
Oh, this is the direct outcome of globalization. Let's be blunt about it. Globalization opened up labour markets, made them international. And within 20 years, what you've done effectively is treble the world's labour supply. And this has strengthened the bargaining position of capital against workers. At the same time, to react to globalization, country after country in the West, as it then was, decided to flexibilize their labour markets. And what that really meant was transform all the labour bargain of the post-1945 era and make workers suffer the risks and uncertainties and the insecurities. And as that's happened, the old working class has withered away. Let's not pretend otherwise. The salaried middle class have done very well, and the elite has risen out of all proportion. But a new class has emerged, which is the precariat. The precariat consists of all those people suffering multiple forms of insecurity.
Back at the depot in Swansea, it's clear that the precariat is arriving here in ever-increasing numbers.
Over the last few years, they've started when people are finished, they haven't employed people in full-time positions, they've used agency staff.
I would say it's 70% recycler agency, 30% council.
So the majority on your side of it are agency workers?
Agency workers now.
And how do their terms and conditions compare to yours?
Oh, a lot different. Hell of a lot different.
If they don't have to pay them holiday pay, sickness pay. And what it is, it does undermine the rest of us yet, and the trade union movement. If there's a problem on that side, as Tony said, you've got 30% of you having a bit of an argument yet, and 70% sitting there, they don't really care, it doesn't affect them. But it certainly suits the management here.
This place is being privatised by agency at this present time. Gradually being privatised by agency.
You're going to see a growth of a public sector precariat. 97% of all jobs created in this country last year were part-time. Right. All right? Or they may be a casual job. Ditto. Imagine, you are told, go out on your bike, get yourself a job. But you're going to get a very low-paid job. When you get that low-paid job, you lose your benefits. You're going to be thinking, what? I may be back in the dole soon. Should I take this part-time casual job that's only paying slightly more than I'm getting in benefits? What happens? All sorts of social illnesses mount up. And unless we revise our social policy, our social protection policy, and give a floor of economic security to everybody, we are in for a very ugly period of political discord.
With the rapid growth of the precariat, there's been a rise in new forms of organising, such as London Citizen.
What makes us different is that we involve people from the community. So this is the community which shows we are your neighbours, we use your hotels, and this is what we want to do, because we think this is very unfair. The fact that they do this extremely hard work and at the same time don't get enough money to support their families. Well, we just left the office of one of the agencies that employ cleaners who clean the Hilton hotels, and we were dealing with the collective grievance inside the hotel, which is the usual common thing that happens in the hotel, and that means that the workers don't get the contract, they are not sure how their wages are being calculated. It's getting worse because of the recession. You know, you can imagine that they are being abused even more because they are so worried about losing their jobs.
Ale to nie jest wina Hiltona, to jest wina tylko i wyłącznie agencji, które się potworzyły i wyciągają od nas.
Ale agencja dałaby wam więcej, gdyby Hilton wam dał więcej.
Tak, ale jedno z drugim się wiąże. Agencja ciągnie do siebie, Hilton ciągnie do siebie, a na tym my tylko tracimy.
When we asked Hilton Hotels about the cleaners' predicament, they said this.
By working with employment agencies, we are able to successfully manage the dynamic nature of our business.
They said questions about conditions and fluctuations in wages should go to the agency, and they weren't in a position to commit to the living wage at this time.
Well, we've been in negotiation with Hilton for the last 4 years, and this is basically the answer that we get, that they can't afford to pay the workers the living wage.
Do you know how much the chief executive of Hilton Hotels gets paid?
No, I don't know, but I can just imagine. This is their business model. They subcontract majority of their work to the agencies. In that case, they pass responsibility to the agencies. They don't pay the agencies enough money, so if the agency want to make a margin, this is what they do. This is the race to the bottom.
Hilton's statement, incidentally, sounds like a lot of David Cameron's recent pronouncements about the wonders of flexible labour markets. So there's little prospect of a change in the direction of travel.
When we appealed for people's testimony about their own working lives when we began making this film, we got deluged with responses from people who really felt that they were either in the midst of horrible insecurity and low pay or were about to be, right? In other words, this is coming for you, it's coming for everybody.
With a flexible labour market system where you've got millions of people expected to take low-wage jobs, insecure jobs, temporary jobs, This sort of phenomena is the norm.
The kind of working lives in this film might seem distant and marginal, but they're all about things: fragility, low pay, the idea of risks being transferred from employer to employee, that are running rampant through the economy and are probably only going to get worse. So even if you're looking at all this from a sort of elevated privileged position, it might be you next. It's not dark yet, but it's getting there.